Worries. So, speak of the devil, here he is. What a beautiful photo. The journey to know your numbers. Now, for many of you that know me, I'm not a fan of numbers, but I know that I need to know them. So every time I talk to Craig, I end up finding out something new as well. So for the next 15 minutes, we're going to be taught and shown how he got to where he is today, why he's so passionate about it, and a little takeaway that we might be able to use in our business as well. So I'm going to stop my share. Over to you, Craig.
Thank you, Jill. One thing I will share is that Jill and I were chatting yesterday and we were talking about number of people in something else we're working on. And Jill actually started working out fractions, which was quite funny when she said it's you that does the numbers, not me. So she is very capable. And I think one of the things I will talk about is that anyone is capable of knowing the numbers. So Jill asked me to talk about a few things in terms of my journey. And she wanted me to share insecurities and struggles. And when we first had that discussion, I thought, don't really have any insecurities, not really had any struggles. But the more I had to think about it, the more I realized, yeah, I've probably had a few insecurities. I've probably had a few struggles. So this is, as I say here, this is my story, and it's the bits I can talk about. I have written a couple of books. I've got another one coming out in September, but I will do another one at some point, which will talk about some of the things that have happened in my life, and not so much that life has been tough, because I think at the end of the day you know what you know. And I've got a picture here of some large council flats, which is where, not the exact one I was brought up in because it was demolished a number of years ago, but
Mm.
I was brought up in a council flat in the outskirts of a place called Wishaw, or Wishy as it's referred to, in the west of Scotland. It's a reasonably rough place, and I lived there for about the first 8 years of my life, and then we moved a few miles away to a semi-detached house that my mother still lives in now. But I would never have thought of myself as being poor or having any real challenges or being deprived in any way. As far as I'm aware, I had a happy childhood. But there was something triggered inside me that made me want to go to university. I've no idea why, because no one in my family had ever been to university. This was something that I decided I wanted to do. And again, a couple of things Jill had asked me to talk about as well is why I want to help people and why I'm so driven in so many things. And I think a lot of it comes from that, where I was effectively brought up with nothing as such. And I went to the University of Strathclyde in 1988, which is quite a long time ago. And I paid for myself through university by working at McDonald's. I was working between 30 and 40 hours a week at McDonald's. So I've always been someone to take action. I've always been driven in that sense, in terms of trying to take myself from where I am to somewhere else. Not that I'm unhappy, but just that I see opportunities. And I suppose if I think about my insecurities, one of my big insecurities, even I think back to high school, university, early stages of my work career, was I didn't like standing in front of people talking or sitting in front of people talking. And it's something now I really enjoy. You see the whiteboard behind me. There's sessions I do on the whiteboard, and I'll talk for 40 minutes and I'll do all sorts of doodles and diagrams and numbers and things. And I've got another one on Thursday, which I will stick the link into at the end of this session. So for me, it's all about taking action. And the people that I've always admired in business are people who have come from nothing. And I don't know whether it's because I don't know if I've got a chip in my shoulder or it's something that's always bothered me, but I've never really liked the people where daddy's been able to provide a trust fund. And perhaps because I wasn't born into money and have a trust fund. So I like people like these three guys on this slide really inspire me. We've got Sir Tom Hunter, one of the richest men in Scotland, who basically started by selling sports socks out the back of a sort of rundown white transit van. We've got Sir Richard Branson, again, came from a wee bit more than Sir Tom, but he's the guy who can turn anything into a commercial venture. Not always successful, but he's done very, very well. And we've then got Lord Sugar, who basically was a barra boy in the East End, and he's made lots of money over the years. And one of the things he does focus on is about making a profit. If you watch The Apprentice or things he's involved in, he's always talking about making a profit, because at the end of the day, you need that if you're running a business. So in terms of why I'm here, I'll talk a wee bit about why I think I help people, why I'm driven, some of my struggles, my insecurities as such, and really just why I want to help others. You see here I've got a couple of books that I've written, and I've not written books because I wanted to be an author. Sorry, Mitali, I know we have spoken about this. I detest writing books. I have not enjoyed it at all, but I did it because I wanted to help people. We've got the first one here, which is Mastering Cash Flow. It's to help business owners in terms of managing the cash in their business, what's coming in, what's going out. Because if you think about it, most people who have set up in business don't understand finance. They've never been taught about it. They don't understand banks, cash, anything like that, which is why I've set up this thing here called Know Your Numbers. This is where I take groups of business owners and explain all things numbers at a reasonably high level. P&Ls, balance sheets, forecasts, cash flows, funding, how to drive value in your business. And we've got the Know Your Numbers website here, knowyournumbers.biz, where there's a free training academy with about 70 videos on it. And we run sessions regularly for groups of people. The main one is Know Your Numbers Mastery, but in the course of the next few months, we'll be doing Know Your Numbers Construction, Know Your Numbers Growth and Succession, Know Your Numbers Early Stage, and actually I'm doing a Know Your Numbers Female Entrepreneurs as well. And we've got my most recent book, which is Lessons from the Rocking Chair, where I sit in my back garden on the decking every Friday afternoon and I record a short video, 1 to 2 minutes, just talking about what's been happening in my week in terms of themes from my clients, things we've been talking about. And again, it's there to try and help business owners. For me, it's all about helping. Don't get me wrong, I'm a commercial business. I want to make money. I do part-time finance director roles as well as this, but I would much prefer to do something and help someone who, even if they can't afford to pay for it, I spend a lot of time with people where I give my time away for free and give away books and information. And if you think about most businesses, the weakest area is in finance because, as I say, most people who set up in business know how to, they know how to build houses, they know how to fix roofs, they know to do a particular trade, but they've never had finance explained to them. And whilst I qualified as a chartered accountant 30 years ago this year, which again is a scary number for me, I'm very critical of the accounting profession in general because I believe that they don't educate business owners. Those of you who are running a business probably know very little about finance and numbers, and that's because your accountant's probably not doing their job as well as they should. So I really want to upskill business owners in that area. And the reason we've got Mr. Sinatra here is because I like to think I do it my way. Yeah. I'm not saying my way is the right way. I'm not saying my way is the only way, but the way I manage finance for my clients, the way I try and educate people seems to work for them, seems to work for clients, seems to work for me. And I just approach things very, very differently. I was on a podcast 18 months, a couple of years ago, and the person interviewing me was saying that I take a very complex subject and make it very simple. And I actually said, Dave, I disagree with you. I think it's a very simple subject that accountants and finance professionals complicate. And we can see this here in this next slide where we've got this finance myth that numbers are difficult, that you need to be really clever to understand it. As I've shown, I'm just a boy from a council flat in Wishaw who knew a wee bit about numbers. We're chatting with Jill about this yesterday. I can remember primary two where my teacher took me aside and she was teaching me algebra because I just got numbers. I have no idea why. It's just easy for me. I did a crash hire in accounts when I was in sixth year, and again, it was just, yeah, that all makes sense. It must be just the way my brain's wired. And something we talk about in Know Your Numbers is that there's no silly questions because if you build houses or you fix roofs, and I ask you a question about how do you do that on the roof or how does that work, you won't think I'm an idiot. You won't think I'm silly because I've not been trained in that. And it's the same from a finance perspective. I want every business owner to understand their numbers. That's a really important thing for me. And that's not about making millions of pounds and selling hundreds of thousands of books. I don't care about that. I want to show people that this is easy and encourage you as a business owner not to run away from finance. It's your business. They're your numbers. You might have an accountant, but it's still your business and they're still your numbers. So you really need to understand them. And what we find is that if you don't know your numbers, you'll be awake at night because you'll be worried about how you pay your wages, how you pay your suppliers, how you deal with next week, how you deal with the next 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, because you don't have a proper up-to-date numbers. And we'll see the little circles behind me, which you'll see on knowyournumbers.biz, talks about the framework. I talk about understanding where you are, where you've been, and where you're going from a financial perspective, and the information you need in order to run your business. And it really is as simple as that. You know, even Jill's beginning to believe me now that actually knowing your numbers is quite simple. Because I remember one of the first chats we had where you just said, you now understand that this is reasonably easy to explain. Off a quick tangent in terms of things that kept me awake, going back to I guess struggles rather than insecurities. And Michael was talking about a divorce he'd gone through. I've been married 3 times. I'm married to a lovely Greek lady. I became Greek Orthodox in 2018, which partly involves not eating meat and dairy at certain times of the year. So I'm partly vegan, as Natalia knows. But I think that's one of the other things that's opened my eyes up about helping people as well. I do a lot of things that I don't talk about. You know, I help a lot of people. I do some charitable stuff. I do things in Africa. I do things with the monasteries I'm connected to, and that's quite important to me. But going back to my divorce, first marriage, great. I've got two grown-up daughters, 28, 26. I've got a grandson at 6 and a granddaughter at 4. And before you ask, I did start early, and all that's very important to me. But we separated. We just went our separate ways, not for any bad reasons. We just grew apart. And I'm actually seeing my first wife on Saturday at my granddaughter's nursery graduation. So we're still in contact. Second wife was a bit of a roller coaster, and this, I guess, is where I've had the biggest struggles in my life. I went through a period from 2015 through to the late part of 2018 with the most acrimonious divorce ever. There's things I could tell you that happened pre, post, and during that you probably wouldn't believe. I used to do a lot of work for abused men in Scotland because I was one of those silent minority where I was abused, and I do find this difficult to talk about, so I'll just take a little drink of water. It's the biggest struggle. It involved all sorts of false allegations. I was in court 49 times over a period of that sort of 3 years. It cost me a fortune in legal fees. I had actually asked my second wife for a divorce long before we got through, we got into court. And as it turned out, she ended up with significantly less than I'd offered her beforehand. For me, that's the biggest struggle. I was out of my house for 121 days during that time, trying to run my own business, which I ran from home. And I was sleeping and staying in different places. I wasn't homeless in the sense that, I still had a home. I just wasn't allowed into it for that period. And then I was found not guilty of all the charges that had been raised against me. So that was pretty challenging, but managed to get through it. I wouldn't change it. I would go back and do the whole thing again because I'm a great believer that you go through these things and what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Live and learn, I guess. So that certainly kept me awake for a long time. I was a shell of myself during that period. And despite that, I just managed to keep going. So I guess that's the biggest struggle I've had. I've been very, very fortunate in terms of my health. I've always looked after my health. My father had a heart attack and a stroke when I was 15. At the time, he was only 35, and that left its mark on me. So I do look after myself very well. I've got a gym next door. I go to the local gym. I took up Taekwondo 5.5 months ago, which I do 3 or 4 times a week. I now do kickboxing once a week as well. And for an almost 54-year-old with bad knees, bad hips, and a bad back, that's quite a thing. But it works for me. And again, it goes back to being driven. I want to go through all my belts. The first thing I asked Master Kirkwood at the academy was, how long till I get my black belt? And what do I need to do? And he said, you need to go at least 3 times a week, and it'll take you 3.5 years. And I said, fine. So I've been doing 4 to 5 times a week, and I've taken up the kickboxing. I'm doing Pilates. I'm doing lots of flexibility, lots of stretching, because I think healthy mind, healthy body certainly helps. So nothing keeps me awake at night. anymore. Nothing at all. I don't think it really has. I don't always sleep like a baby, but I don't worry about anything. I just get on with things. And this for me is a really lovely picture because I do want to live by the beach one day. That's my plan, and I will definitely do that at some point. But I talk to my clients and other business owners about if you put the right information flows in place and get your business funded properly by knowing your numbers, you can run your business from the beach, and it's not as much of a stretch as some people might think. Um, I'm not saying you have to go and live on the beach, but basically you can set up your business as a business owner where you can spend an hour or a couple of hours every day or a couple of times a week to check in and make sure things are running. So it does happen. You can do it. I would say don't run away from your numbers. Embrace them and actually find out what are the key numbers in your business or in the business of your clients that help them to make better decisions. I like to ask clients, how do you know you've had a good day, a good week, or a good month? And actually come up with something that's tangible in terms of doing that. So I'm going to leave you with a couple of things that you can either use in your own business or with business of your clients. And most of you have heard about Warren Buffett. I think in 1950, I think he started with about $1,000 and he's turned that into hundreds of millions. So he's got two rules for investing. So I sort of borrowed that from Warren on the basis that I was going to adapt it for my clients. So my two rules are: rule one is focus on cash, because you can't go far wrong if you have lots of cash. And rule two is don't forget rule one. You can have a profitable business, but you can't pay your suppliers and you can't pay your staff or yourself with profit. You must have cash or working capital facilities. And I've got 3 daily questions, and we've got a PDF that can be downloaded on the Know Your Numbers website. And I'm going to, because I've not had an opportunity yet, I'm going to doodle on my board for a little bit. So for your business and for your clients, these are the 3 questions that you should be asking in your business, or someone should be asking every day. So, so the first question is, how much cash do we have? And you can get that by going to your accounting system and doing your bank rec every day. And this month's 10-minute teach goes through this in a bit more detail. The second question is, who's got our cash? So the people that you've given credit to, they've got your cash. So what you should be doing every day is you should be chasing it. And the third question we should be asking the business every day is, how do we get more cash? And for me, that's working out a series of key performance indicators in your business, 3 or 4 things that you can manage, you can monitor, and you can influence, and you can use to drive your business, make better decisions, make more profit, make more cash. And really, it is as easy as that. And thank you.
Yay. Well done. I love the simplicity. That just, fills my heart with joy when I see it like that. Can you stop sharing your screen? Thank you.
Yeah.
And I can get rid of that, and then I can do that, and then I can get everybody back in their room. Wow.
James, I'll just say I'll stick the link to knowyournumbers.biz in the chat, and also I've got a webinar on Thursday where if you're interested in where you are, where you've been, where you're going in terms of what you should be doing, and I'll tell you some stories about clients and things. Join that on Thursday. It's very fast paced, 40 minutes, lots of value. I'm not selling you anything. I don't want you to give me anything. I just want you to take some knowledge away.
Brilliant. Thank you, Craig. I love it when you can go to an event and you're going to get loads and loads of value out of it. Interestingly, you think it's quite rare to know somebody that's been an abused man as opposed to an abused wife or living in those kind of circumstances. But there is somebody else in the Collaboration Global community that's going through that or has been through that as well. So there's people here that you can empathize with, Craig. It's interesting. I wasn't aware of that about you.
I was actually I was in a couple of newspapers, although I was described as Colin and my face was blacked out, and I was actually on BBC TV in a program as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're always called Colin, I think. But yeah, I'm glad you're out of it, and I'm glad you found somebody to love. That's the important thing.
Thanks, Tim.
Okay, so that was Craig. Obviously, get in touch with him if you need to find out those answers to those questions. How much cash do you have? Does anyone know, really? Probably not. Who has your cash, and how do we get more cash? Every single day, ask those 3 questions. You're not going to go far wrong. We now move